Hey everybody, it's Nicole from Wildflower Valley Farm. Welcome back. Today I am trying out my video with a different camera, so bear with me while I play with this one today. I am going to move the rabbits in the rabbit tractor and then give you all an update on what's going on in the garden. And then I want to talk to you about something that I have coming up that I hope you will enjoy. These guys are making pretty good progress in my yard. They've only been at it for a week. A little less, I think. I think it's been a week. I think it was a week ago today. Today is Saturday, and I believe it was last Saturday when I first brought them to the front yard. I'm trying to move them every day, twice a day. There have been a couple of days where I wasn't able to move them twice, and it kind of slowed down their progress on mowing the yard, but it is what it is. Yesterday when I got home, it was absolutely pouring down rain, and I didn't think that they wanted to be bothered with, and I certainly didn't want to be drowned. I'm sure drowned is not a word, but that was why I didn't bother with moving them when I got home yesterday evening. But I don't think they hurt anything. They had plenty to eat there, and of course they're chowing down on their new meal now. So now let's go check on the garden on this rainy Saturday afternoon. So if you can tell in amongst the little weeds that are popping up, it looks like we have peas coming up very well. Those are peas right there. That right there is just green things that have fallen in the way. But all of those peas, if I remember correctly, it has been 2 weeks since I planted these. And they actually sprouted last week, about the middle of the week when we had some pretty warm weather. But this cold weather that we've had the last couple of days has slowed down their growth a little bit, I'm sure. But they're coming along well. We have some warmer weather coming in the next few days in the forecast after this winter that just won't end. So that warmer weather should speed their growth along a little bit, I hope. What is in the raised bed seems to be doing well. These are the radishes that I planted. I planted 2 different types of radishes. Looks like they're coming up in bunches. I don't know if that's how the seeds happen to land. I tried to spread them evenly, and either I did a very poor job of spreading them evenly, or they're sprouting unevenly for some reason. But we'll see how they go as they get bigger. I'll have to thin out some of the little spots like that. And then there's some others where there is only one in a large area, so we'll see how the rest of them come along. Even though this right here looks like a bed of weeds, most of it is. This right here is some bee balm that I planted last year that survived the winter. And it is growing and seems to be enjoying this weather, even though I do not. And then here we have a few little things coming up. Those are carrots that are finally trying to sprout. They seem to be few and far between for some reason. I don't know. It took them a lot longer to sprout than I expected, but the little green shoots are so tiny it may be that I just didn't notice them when they first began to sprout. But they are finally beginning to come up, so that's a good thing. And then here I have turnip greens that I planted. And they are finally coming along nicely. It took them a while to get started, but they're doing well now that they are started. And I'm just not so sure about the chard that I planted. I know I planted some here, and normally that is one of the easiest things for me to grow. Looks like that right there might be a chard sprout. So I'm really not sure what's up with that. I hope they start sprouting better as the weather gets warmer. If not, I may have to replant. So that's the raised bed, and clearly it does not need to be watered today. We got some really good rain last night, and it's still misty today. I also wanted to include some of the containers that I have that I've had going for several years now. This one, even though it just looks like a container full of weeds and a gigantic dandelion, it actually is some herbs that I planted last year. I generally don't do a lot of garden or container upkeep during the winter. I just cover them usually with a pile of leaves and hope for the best that they winter over. So I haven't cleaned this bed out yet so far, but that is some thyme. This here is thyme that wintered over quite well. And then the one thing that I'm super excited about is this right here. This is lavender. I have never had much success with lavender in the past, but I planted this last year and it seems to be doing well. It looks like it is hopefully going to come back. All of the branches here do not have new growth, but that one does. So I'm hoping that the plant as a whole will survive and put out new leaves this year. I'm just excited that that right there managed to survive, because in the past I've been just really skilled at killing it. Hi, Bendy. How are you? Sweet girl. Bendy is a cat that was given to me several years ago as a, I was told, semi-feral barn cat. There's no semi-feral anything to her. She's just a sweet cat, but she does well as a mouser. So I'm happy to have her here. Again, this container is one that I just have not cleaned out after the winter. It is full of weeds, but it does have some mint growing in it. And I believe this is spearmint, if I'm not mistaken. I honestly don't remember, but I believe it is spearmint. Putting out some new leaves and coming back for the spring. In this container I have lemon balm. All these twigs are last year's growth that I will pull out once they release. They're not all, usually once they die off they release and I just pull them out, but these are still kind of stuck down in there, so I don't like to disturb the root ball in here. I'll just leave those alone until I can pull them out or they fall out on their own. And then this is chocolate mint. If you're not familiar with mint, it's always good to grow it in a container if you can, because it will spread and take over your entire garden if you don't. Unless, of course, you use a lot of it and pull it up by the roots when you harvest. Then you might be able to get away with planting it in the ground in your garden and not risking it taking over. My sage did not fare as well as some other things this winter in that cold weather, but it didn't die. You can see there's still some green growth there and it's starting to put out new leaves, so I will be in the near future trimming off some of this dead growth to allow for that new green growth to do better. And the same thing goes for my rosemary here. You can see all of this brown, like this here, this brown dead growth. The cold weather just really did a number on these herbs, but they did manage to survive. I have found that my herbs seem to do better in the ground than they do in pots. I know some people have the opposite results, but for me, here where we are, it just seems like especially the woody stem type herbs like sage and rosemary just do better if you put them directly into the ground. When all that dead growth comes off, it should be putting out new green growth and growing bigger and better every year. And then just in front of it I have strawberries that I need to thin out. But they survived the winter just fine. They've been in this bed, in this particular container for, I think this will be the 4th year that I've had them in this container. And there are some beautiful blooms that will hopefully be making strawberries for us. This container here is a different variety of thyme than what was in the other container, and I don't remember which one's which. The flavor is about the same. The other one may be called variegated thyme. I think it has a little bit of a white stripe on the leaf where this one is just green. I believe this is English thyme. Don't quote me on either one of those because I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is what this is. I believe this is English thyme and the other one was variegated. Like I said, the flavor is the same. The only difference that I have found in my experience is just what it looks like. It's pretty. And then beside it, I have some catnip. And if any of our viewers are familiar with the difference between catnip and catmint, I have always been curious if they are the same thing and just two different names for the same plant, or if they are actually two different plants. I do not know the answer to that. I have not been able to find any solid information online unless I'm just not looking in the right place. Clearly I'm not looking in the right place because I can't find it. But this is year number 3. This will be the 3rd year for this particular plant. Since I planted it, it started out as just about that size clump in a 3-inch pot that I put into this tire container. And it manages to survive the heat of the summer and the cold of the winter and the cats laying on top of it because they love it. And another pro tip for those of you that might be looking for natural ways to ward off, prevent insects that are unwanted, like fleas for example, catnip is good for keeping away fleas and also for keeping away stink bugs if that is something that you have a problem with at your home. We have a few of them at my house, not as many as at my parents' house, but the catnip seems to help keep those away too. I also wanted to update y'all on the progress of what I started inside. These tomatoes are getting a little too leggy, so when I'm going to repot those in the near future and I'll be able to fix that. I can actually, when I put them in a larger pot, I can actually bury them up to about right here. And then this whole stem down through here will actually put out new roots and just give it a stronger root system. I'm not real happy with the progress of the cabbage. That's what sprouted first when I started these seeds, but they just haven't done well. So I'm going to start some of those directly in the soil outside. Everything else seems to be doing pretty okay though. Won't be long before I start transplanting everything outside. The thing that I'm most excited about though is actually these pepper plants back here. Let me move these flowers out of the way. These are some pepper plants that I learned late last year, maybe October or so, that you could actually winter over pepper plants. So I yanked these up out of the ground and brought them inside and then promptly killed them in January because I didn't realize that my heat in this room was not turned on for about 3 days. Thankfully, the water pipes back here did not freeze. It's just by the grace of God that didn't happen. But I thought that I had actually killed these, and I cut them way, way back. I saw when I was trimming them that they still had some green. So I cut them way, way back in hopes that they would survive, and they have. I mean, you can see they have put out new leaves. This one right here is putting out a lot of new leaves and stems. And this one has a few new leaves, not as many as the others, but a few. And then this one also has a few down here. So I'm hoping that those will survive, and I can see how they do in the coming season, see if it was worth it to try to winter them over. With all this wet weather we've been having, this just became a muddy mess. So I put some shavings in there today to kind of help them stay dry. Of course, they're probably going to fill their water full of shavings. I'll have to clean that out, but it's all good. It'll be fine. It'll eventually dry up in here. They seem to be doing well. Hopefully in the near future they will be large enough to go into my poultry netting. The Cornish rots probably are large enough, but the little guys are not. So I may just go ahead and set it up and put the Cornish in the poultry netting and leave the little guys in here for now. It'll give them more space and less of a chance to make a mess in this cage. And now for the part that I wanted to talk to y'all about for some videos we should have coming up in the future. In the past, when I had the facilities or access to the facilities to do so, I periodically would teach a class on rabbits, and I would call it something along the lines of nest box to table. The things that we would talk about was generally a 4-hour class that I would talk about, discuss, answer questions, and do some demonstrations on how to care for rabbits. Everything from how to breed, nest boxes, why you would want them or why you might not, different types of cages, different breeds of rabbits, why there are different varieties. And I would also do a demonstration on butchering, so that your hard work that you've spent all this time breeding for meat could be put to good use in your freezer. I'm not sure just how detailed I want to get on the latter aspect of that for YouTube. I don't want to cause any problems for our channel and have to worry about maybe being reported for graphic content or something like that. So I don't know if I am going to be brave enough to actually film the butchering aspect of it. But I do want to talk more about the care of rabbits, how to raise them, how to keep them healthy, and maybe some ways to make it easier for those of you that have no experience to get started. So in the coming weeks, I am going to be doing a series on care of rabbits. I'm probably going to break it down so that the videos don't get too long, and do like maybe one video on housing, why you might want to do cages or a colony or something different. And then maybe another video on feeding rabbits, another video on breeding rabbits. I'm not real sure how small I want to break those topics down, so that's something that I will be thinking some more about and planning for, but that will be coming up very soon. I hope to start maybe the first one of those in the next few days, actually. Maybe one day this coming week, and possibly do, I'm not sure how far apart I want to spread those videos for this series. I don't know if I want to do maybe once a week or twice a week. But I will give you all some more information on that once I make a final decision on how I want to do that. So just something to look forward to if it is something that interests you, raising rabbits for meat or even for pets. A lot of the information that I will be sharing will be useful for those of you that want to raise rabbits for pets or for show, or maybe all of the above. So if you haven't already, be sure and click that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss this upcoming series. And check out the description for links below, also for links to all of our social media accounts. And don't forget to comment if you have any questions, ideas, suggestions, other things that you would like to see us share on this channel. We look forward to your comments and encourage you to communicate with us. We do read all of those comments. So I want to thank you for watching today, and we will see you in the next video.